So we only have, oh, we're recording. We only have a few folks in right now. Let's see, we got 6 attendees right on. But this is being recorded so that it can be shared for people to tune in on their own time as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I'll just share my screen real quick here. Perfect. And share sound. All right, y'all can see that. All right. So welcome to the In Development Grassroots Market Preparedness webinar. And we wanted to start it off in a good way today. So I'm very grateful that we have Elder Fred Campio here with us to share an opening prayer. And yeah, I'm just real grateful to have you, my relative, here. So this is our first webinar within the development team for this year, 2022. So I want to start in a good way. I'll just stop sharing my screen actually for this. But yeah, Fred, if you would share some good words with us, we're so grateful.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much for the honor this morning. I'm very happy to be here and participate and to help out wherever I can. And my last name is spelled Campion. I changed it legally a while back, so I got to kick the U out, and not you literally, but kick that letter out. Put an N for maybe it'll stand for noble or something. Try to be like the buffalo behind you.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want me to say a prayer as well, or just to share some of my thoughts?
Whatever feels right for you.
All right.
Yeah.
I can't see anyone else on the meeting, but I'm very happy whoever is able to join. This morning, I'm I've quite busy on the weekend, and we had a sweat lodge yesterday, and so it's really uplifting to maintain our ceremonies. I find that there's a lot of people that it helps in terms of our mental health, being able to connect and also release a lot of the emotions that come up, and try to get grounded again, and try to enjoy the company and the relationships that we develop with one another. And I noticed there was quite a few new faces at the sweat yesterday, and so that was really nice to see. Yeah, I had to really think hard about this COVID stuff, the pandemic that's going on, and how that affects us mentally and spiritually and emotionally and stuff like that. So it's important to, I guess, stay grounded and try to, in our own way, live a normal life, even though it's not normal. But we have to buckle down and really take a look at how we can manage and navigate ourselves through this time. And along with the other stuff going on around the country, you see it in the news. There's a lot of unrest, I guess I'll use that term. And I think a lot of it's created from COVID, but I think overall we're still okay. We're able to stay within the bounds of goodwill and good governance, and people being able to, you know, and the general public being able to stay civil as much as possible. You know, like there's some, I think, some worry about the violence and the, you know, all of the other stuff that comes out with these protests and stuff like that. However, I wanted to focus on tourism this a little bit this morning. I was really excited about thinking about some of the possibilities for us in terms of how we can develop that, grow it, and being able to at the same time, you know, I think for me, it'd be nice to connect the tourism industry to our cultural ways in a way that we can share a lot of and showcase a lot of our people's ways of living and beliefs, basically to the world, you know, and bring people in. And you know, we've always been a welcoming people ever since the newcomers came. And even though we were treated very badly, and you know, many of our people died, like thousands and thousands of our people lost their lives in this past over 500 years of contact. You know, we're still here. And you know, I often think about, like for instance, I have a pipe that was a pipe that I carry today that came from the time of Sitting Bull's people. And I was told by the story goes that this white man was collecting artifacts, and some of this stuff was taken right off the camp, right from the camp to the white people's homes. You know, like they were collecting arrowheads and, you know, beadwork and, you know, regalia, and they were collecting pipes and, you know, rattles and whatever was in the camp where the people. And of course, you know, some of our spiritual leaders of the time, they always kept their bundles quite close to them in their teepee or their lodge, wherever they were staying. It was always like at arm's length. You know, they had their pipe right there hanging in the lodge, and you know, so it wasn't like, you know, it was put away anywhere. So it was quite easy for people to, you know, to take them without will, but without consent rather. But you know, and it's interesting, this pipe was with a family from around Montreal area. My late mother had met this lady. She worked for CBC. She was asked to do a documentary. And so she met this Shannon, Kathleen Shannon, and her father had this pipe in his house in a box case with the glass. You know, it was a showcase piece for him and his family. And it had been handed down, you know, from the time that it was collected back in the 1800s, maybe 18, whenever after the war with the Little Bighorn battle. The Sitting Bull came up to Canada, up north. And of course, for our people, there was no boundaries. We didn't recognize the boundaries that were being created by Americans and Canadians, you know, the medicine line, they call it whatever they call it. Anyway, yeah, so this pipe ended up in that family, and my mother happened to be, you know, got quite close to this lady. They were good friends. And anyway, this Kathleen was asked to bring that pipe to a night lodge or a shaky tent ceremony out east. And she was repeatedly asked to bring it. Up to 4 times she brought that pipe to the lodge. And each time that lodge opened up, that pipe bowl was sitting on my mother's lap. And, you know, then the spirit the pipe spirit told them, this pipe wants to go back home, out west, go back to, it's time for it to go back and to help the people. And it was, you know, it was in this state of, you know, I guess waiting for the right time. And then, so Kathleen gave it up to my mother. She was quite upset or emotional about it. Like she didn't want to give it up. But, she believed in what we were doing so much that she was willing to do that. And so anyway, the pipe ended up at my mom's, and over time it was passed to me by my mother in our lodge, in our ceremony. And yeah, so that's how I got that pipe. It's an old pipe from the Sitting Bull time and the Sioux. And it's interesting because I ended up doing a Sioux ceremony, being past a Sioux ceremony, and that's where that pipe came together, a Uipi ceremony. And when I was young as a child, I dreamt of this pipe. I'd seen it in the spirit world, and it dawned on me after a while, after I started doing the lodges, that this was the same pipe I seen in the spirit world, where the spirit had given me protocol. There was many, many men sitting in a circle, dressed the old way, and they were there to help pass this ceremony. So in today, I do these ceremonies to help the people with that pipe, and many, many people come, and it's not a coincidence. Everything fell into place, and I had no idea at the time all this was unfolding for me, and all I had to do was make my commitment to work for the Creator. So, in other words, we are being looked after by our ancestors. We're being helped and guided and protected and given that good direction to, to come back and put these things back in order, to revive and to, to collect and to be able to host ceremonies for our collective, for the people. And over time, more and more people are going to come to realize, the beliefs that we have here on Turtle Island has been around for eons, thousands of years. And, it's a way of life for us. And I'm a very traditional person. I grew up on the land. I grew up hunting and fishing and working in the bush with my grandpa, and, just living a good life, being raised in a good way. And so I'm honored to carry that pipe. I try to do my best I can in a humble way, but I try to be very humble and try to be welcoming to everyone. And doesn't matter where they come from, what tribe they come from, or what nation they come from. Color is not a thing that we focus on. We're all brothers and sisters. We're all children of the earth and our Creator and Mama Gotao, So, to me, that's how I view it. That's my worldview kind of thing, where I welcome all kinds of people, because you know what? We're all here together. No matter how it turns out, no matter how we look at it, we have to get along with one another. We have to work together. And at some point, we're going to have to realize, the sooner we get there, the better we're going to be able to secure our future. Because if it goes the opposite way and we don't get along, like I'm not talking about us individually here as much as I'm talking about the world and some of these countries that have the power to either make it work, or the power to destroy everything with their bombs. These countries that are huge, military driven countries. So I'm just being as real as I can. And this morning, I want to say a short prayer, if I may, in our language, just to get us started in a good way with a direction and a welcoming of the grandfathers and the grandmothers into our circle through prayer. And whichever way that you pray, help me out with your good energy and your good thoughts, and we'll do some good work and develop some good relations, and have a good meeting here today. And we can only handle today. We can't handle tomorrow yet because it hasn't come. We can't change what happened yesterday. So we got to live in the now, and as much as we can. Although we think about the past a lot, it's important to maintain that history and that connection, but it's also important to, try to put yourself in the now, so we can come together that way. So I'm going to say this in our language, if I may, and I'm going to ask about, the blessing of having our families and our children and our relatives to be in a good place and safe, and not to be taken by the sickness around us, and also to protect our homes and our travel, to give us some guidance in the work we do and the relationships we develop, and to help others that even if they don't believe in what we believe in, or if they don't pray, that's okay too. Like, it's got to be that, we have to, I do anyway, I maintain my worldview and the way I look at things. I just stay with that because it works for me. I really feel good about life. I feel good about things like that. So I'm going to say this prayer in our language. Hey, hey. Ano tao inan kichu tao mo mungkin wis we hai tonuta ki wei ta kap mam sewa kap pakseta anots. Kia mutmaga nan sawim nanota nokta kati chigin. Tapuim steina nas kumuna no ma kakiwe kap mauhi ya kwawisin da simsnanak no simnanak. It's no kumagan kitem na gakyo na naskutin isa itya betsuta is muhtema minagagi sumuda tawag hange kanigani taguyak masumpannog no kumpannog minawa kumagan michit sabuhtewa ka say maga kiam kawiche kutka paustago nanuta kawiche gunan ya betsya kami tamakuta aski matsuan mustaskam tapui miasin mina dutama kuta kasawi tamuad ugi kap matoskata muma in tourism anu magasigata me mahtis kami upayo eguta akumagan kap msitski tagiskag mina ekta kap muhtia kanuim nan miskanau iga mtaupaita kigo iga miasi mina akumagan kotoan wigi yang kasui taksu kakyo mina wasakuta kamam skutaman igoi mina pitsna wega pispaik inanas kumuyan mina yabits paksitan tamagan naunan kakyo min kao inanaski ewan sawi mekichisku kakta sawi takumaski takamimota iga kapumigo tagigoi mina masomnanak kukumnawak Wiche nanota pixwistamaunan igutiucha kayaik yam kamiupayo igigoyu tagaisichigia naskamun hi maitan hi naskamun. Thank you. All right, back to you, Kayla and Curtis. You're the only ones I see on here, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Fred.
I'm gonna mute myself.
Okay. So good to hear your stories always. And yeah, start us off in a good way. I'm very grateful. So much love. Thank you. All right. So I'm just gonna share my screen again. Y'all can see that. Awesome. All right. So Curtis and I will be facilitating today's workshop. So Tanse Bebe Suskuyo Nitsigasan Wabiska Uchinia, practicing my Cree. My Cree, I have two Cree names. One from Nuka, my grandmother's baby woman, and then my name actually from Fred is beautiful dancing earth feather woman. I'm still learning how to say it. I'm originally from Slave Lake, Treaty 8, and I have family ties in Sawridge as well as Wabiska. Big Stone Cree Nation. And you probably see another Kayla here, the Kayla Simpson. So I have my Cree side, which is the Belrose and Beavers, and then my English side is Simpson. So my dad is Munio. And yeah, I live now in Treaty 7 territory. I live in Calgary, Mohkinstsis, so very grateful to be here in Blackfoot traditional territory. And I am the development coordinator at Indigenous Tourism Alberta, and I've been here for just over a year. So I will now pass it to my co-facilitator, Curtis, to introduce himself.
Oh, Miyagi-sigaw. Iksiut ni sika san kito sagan otsinia. Naskunach-gisagaw. So say hello to everyone. My name's Curtis Cardinal. I'm from Calling Lake, and I'm a member of Big Stone Cree Nation and Treaty 8. That's a territory that I acknowledge. And then also in our territory, we have Métis and the Métis local in our area. But my ancestry also goes back to Treaty 6, where my third great grandfather came from the Pieces band. It means little bird in Cree. So they were part of the Treaty 6 signing back in 1876. And their last name is Machimuta. So my ancestry goes back to that nation as well, and that tribe. So that's my kind of background. I've been working with ITA now since last December. So it's been, you know, good. And yeah, so I work in membership, and that's what I do right now. And I want to say, hi, thank you, Fred, for the prayer and the good words and the ceremonies that you do. And thank you for everything. And yeah, I want to say hi to everyone and have a good day. And I woke up this morning, it was a good day. You know, like the days are getting longer, you know, the sun's already coming out really early when you get up and you hear those birds singing, that everything's coming back to life again, you know, like even spiders, I see spiders in my house, like everything's coming warmer now. And, you know, we're getting close to spring, new life is going to come back, and look forward to all that, you know, that those kind of things. And so, yeah, I'm just glad for that.
Awesome. Thank you, Curtis. All right. Yeah. So with the spring season, it's a good time to, you know, start visioning what you're going to do this year. And yeah, so that's why we wanted to do this webinar series, to really help our membership develop their businesses. And so we're just here to be messengers and share resources. So just a little bit about Indigenous Tourism Alberta as an organization. It incorporated in 2018 as a not-for-profit member-based society. So ITA provides leadership in development and marketing of authentic Indigenous tourism experiences through innovative partnerships. So, you know, creating partnerships with organizations like Travel Alberta and different DMOs across the province, and then also, you know, partnerships with all the local nations. So working on that within the development team. So our mission, the reason we exist, is to grow and promote authentic, sustainable, culturally rich Indigenous tourism experiences that showcase Alberta as a premier Indigenous tourism destination. And our vision is to see Indigenous peoples of Alberta thrive through a financially sustainable Indigenous tourism economy, sharing culture and stories. Awesome. All right, so some of the outcomes for today. So Curtis and I have a short presentation to share with you. So some of the outcomes is just learning what does it mean to be in development as a business, and then define what is grassroots tourism, and then a short summary of Indigenous Tourism Association of Canada national guidelines. So we'll send you a PDF. It's really helpful when you're developing your business. There's a lot of good resources in there. And then brainstorm your business values and vision. And then why authenticity is important when owning / operating an Indigenous tourism business. And then we'll have story sharing from an Indigenous Tourism Alberta member. So we have Lauren in the chat here. I'm really excited. So we'll finish off with, we'll start with stories and we'll end with stories, which is awesome. And then next steps and supports towards being a visitor ready business. So I'll also show you the process to, I guess, like level up in tourism and how the industry works. So what is an in development business? So really when you're in the planning stages, So you have that business idea, you know, maybe that gift that you have, you know, as a human being that you want to share with others, something you're really passionate about, but you just, you know, figuring out, how do I create a business out of this passion? So you got to start a business plan, and then figuring out, because tourism is really like story sharing. A lot of people, you know, come to experience other people's stories and change their perspective of how they see the world when they visit a new place, somewhere they've never been before. They want to learn, you know, an authentic story from someone from that place. So what is your own authentic story that you can share with visitors and just, you know, other people that want to support your business? And then how to create a unique experience. So when you're in development, you want to make sure, looking at how can you be unique, you know, not to compare too much to others, because you are unique as a person yourself, but just thinking about creating an experience. Like, what would you want to experience when you travel somewhere? You know, thinking of putting yourself in the visitor's shoes, or their moccasins. But yeah, creating that unique experience for them, and then learning who and what your market is. So, you know, what kind of people do you want to attract to your business, so that when you do things like your marketing efforts, you know, who's your target audience? Are you wanting to have more families involved with your business, or younger people, or yeah, like what kind of demographic? So these are all things to consider when developing your business within your vision and your plans. So with that, good segue, we're going to do a brainstorm. So, you know, making this presentation more interactive, we're going to utilize the chat function. So for all the participants here today, you can put your answers in the chat, and then I'll actually put them right on this slide, so we'll be able to see your answers. So the reason that you see these 4 trees here is because, you know, looking at our plant relatives as teachers, and I think about business and networking, you know, when you look at a forest, that is like the ultimate network of communication and helping each other, you know, supporting each other. Like, you look at the root systems of trees, they all communicate and help each other. So just thinking of your own business and like your own roots, what are the values of your business? Like, what values do you want to carry with you? So I know for, even as an organization at ITA, we have values of, you know, empathy is one of our values as a organization. So when we're working with our members, we carry that with us. So what are some values that you have within your business? All right, let's see in the chat. Ooh, connectedness. Oops. All right. Oh, y'all can see that? Connectedness. Don't mind my chicken scratch as well. Honesty. What else we got? Sharing history with the land. I'm just going to say of land, so it's a little shorter for me to write. Culture. Ooh. Awesome. Knowledge of all people. All right, and teachings. Yeah, staying grounded to, you know, who we are, the teachings that we've learned in our foundational years. Awesome. Did I miss any? Sharing culture. Okay. Open-mindedness. Yay. Yeah, because, you know, like when you operate a tourism business, you're going to have people like visitors from all over the world sometimes, right? And so, you know, when you're hosting people who might have very different views and perspectives, you know, having an open mind where you can have that knowledge exchange and learn from each other is really exciting. Preserve traditional knowledge. Awesome. And what's really exciting, like even within our membership, we really see a balance, right? Where, you know, some business values, like say preserving traditional knowledge. There's businesses or organizations within communities where, you know, that's what it really is about. Like, yeah, it's about sharing with visitors, but it's about, you know, preserving the culture for the community as well. Like, can think of so many examples, like even Sutena Museum, for example, they have a language revitalization program housed within their museum, so the Gunaha Institute, because at one point there was only like 9 speakers that spoke that dialect of Dene, the Sutena. And so, you know, preserving their language, even within a museum that is created to share their culture as well, like it's beautiful when you can find that balance even within tourism and helping your community and the future generations. Holistic balance, pride in who we are. Oh, these are great. It's getting really full. I'll put it over this. Okay. Pride in who we are. Yeah. And, you know, I think just even what, you know, Fred was talking about and things that we've had to endure in the last 500 years, like go Oilers. RJ, #1 fan. But yeah, having that pride in who we are, because for so long, I think there was a lot of shame, and, you know, sometimes there still is shame within our communities to share, you know, culture and to share stories. And I think it's just, especially for the younger generations, helping restore that pride so that we can, you know, be proud of who we are and where we come from. It's, we're beautiful people. It's a beautiful history. So awesome. All right. So we got a lot of values. So now we're going to look forward and think, like, what is your business vision? What are you growing towards? So just like a tree grows towards the sun, grows towards that bright light. What is your bright light? What are you growing towards? What's that vision that you can see your business evolving into? Or even Indigenous tourism in general. You know, maybe you don't have a business yet, and that's okay. Overall community pride. I'm going to choose blue for this. Okay. RJ, I thought you were going to put Oilers Stanley Cup or something. Just kidding. All right. So in the chat, we have the question, what are your business goals? What's the vision of your business? So this is a cool, like, little brainstorm, you know, like you can do this at home as well and use it as like a vision board for yourself. Within your, you know, your business plan is, you know, put that tree. What are your roots, your values? What's your vision? Sustainability. Did I spell that? Oh, okay. Ignore that. That says sustainability. Multi-generational. Cheyenne, can you elaborate? Multi-generational, is that like, so you see your vision going from generations ahead of you and maybe even behind you too, eh? Right on. Go Flames, go. Go Battle of Alberta in the chat. Right on. All right, is there any other vision ideas here of what your business is growing towards? All right, Katie, sharing my values. Oh, we got a vision statement, of a business vision statement. All right, I'm going to read it. All right, to provide therapeutic massage therapy and aquatic therapy along with authentic Métis cultural retreats and land-based experiences focused on holistic health and culture in harmony with the land. Wow, that's a beautiful example of a business vision statement. I love that. Thank you for sharing, Karen. That's awesome. All right. And then Cheyenne said, yes, having children grow in it and pride in who they are. Awesome. Right on. Well, I'm going to leave it at that for this, but I really appreciate all of your answers and sharing. And I'll save this. Right on. And then I'll clear it. Cool. Well, thank you, everyone. So yeah, we just wanted to go through that activity to get a brainstorm going. I'm just thinking about your own business, what your values and your vision is. All right, so in the chat, you can answer this question, but when you hear the word grassroots, what does it mean to you in relation to tourism? So when I say grassroots tourism, what do you visualize? What do you think about? Curtis says the people. Right on. I'll give you guys one more second. Local people and knowledge keeper. Yeah, grassroots level, you know, our communities, our relatives, our family. Awesome. All right, well, you can keep pondering on that, but something that we were thinking about in terms of grassroots tourism, it's something that we really promote at ITA. We actually have a program called the, it's a community grassroots program that we go through, and communities can apply for it. And looking at developing grassroots tourism within their community, it's very much, you know, involving the whole community to create that tourism plan. So it's, you know, everyone's involved. So just thinking, what is grassroots tourism? You know, thinking, you know, Indigenous people are the original storytellers of our lands. You know, because we've been here for forever. So local businesses participating in tourism economy, that's kind of like the general definition of grassroots tourism. You know, seeing local people participate within the tourism economy. But then also now, like supporting the growth of Indigenous businesses. So, you know, even this year, you see the trend of, you know, support Indigenous and that hashtag going around, supporting each other's businesses. You see lots of really unique partnerships. So those community collaborations. So one example I could think of, if anyone went to the Enoch night market at River Cree, shout out to Amber Lee Morin for organizing that. But you see like, you know, hundreds of artisans, like, you know, Indigenous artisans from the area and all around Alberta selling their art. And then you see musicians and, you know, different performers performing on stage. And, you know, they had over 30,000 people go through that night market in one weekend. And the amount of community collaboration within that event was just so inspiring. So that grassroots tourism, you know, really supporting from a community level. All right, and then First Nations, Métis and Inuit authentic representation within Alberta and community level partnerships. So, you know, even seeing like local First Nations, Métis settlements partner with each other within their tourism corridor is really exciting. So I'm gonna share a video. It's 2 minutes. So let's see if I can, let me know if you can hear the sound good. Let's go full screen.
I can hear it. It's good.
Cool.
Home is my people. Home is between the prairies and mountains. Home is where my family is. There is a word in Blackfoot. It's itabisco. To put it into a phrase, it means that everything's alive. Everything has a spirit. Everything has a presence. I'm still trying to figure photography out and how it fits in with our ways. There's a great power that you're given when you have a camera. You have the ability to tell a story. For me, I want to invite people in to learn about us and to break barriers. Scientists will say we've been here for 13,000, some would say 20,000, but numbers really don't matter to us. As far as we're concerned, we've been here forever. I gain a lot of strength and inspiration from my ancestors. The elders have always said that our DNA goes deep, deep, deep into the soil. I never really knew what they meant by that. It wasn't actually until I experienced the power of some of these stories, and then I started to realize, okay, well, it's more than just a story. You know, it's an experience. When you accept that, the mysticism of our ways becomes real. You know, for me, I'm still just discovering this.
Awesome. All right. So yeah, Blair Russell, he's from before that starts up. He's from Gaina, the Bloods in southern Alberta, and he's actually started an events company, a migration music festival, and then he's also a photographer. But that was a cool video done with Explore, or with ITA, I believe. Yes. All right. I'm just gonna escape this. Ooh, okay. Oh, there we go. So yeah, that video is just good because it kind of shares from a grassroots perspective, you know. Blair still figuring out like what it means to him, still exploring what that idea means to him, that, you know, it's more than just the story, it's a whole experience. And yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed that. So within the chat, you can think about this question: what does authenticity mean to you? So the reason we wanted to ask that is because it's, you know, something that comes up a lot within Indigenous tourism. So especially when you look at what we're going to send you right away, these lovely, oh, you can't see that, national guidelines from the Indigenous Tourism Association from Canada. They talk about the importance of authenticity within the experiences that we promote and share with visitors, and just being authentic to ourselves and who we are, where we come from. So what does that mean to you? You know, people in the chat. Products not made in China. Yes. So seeing, you know, like authentic Indigenous art made by, you know, Indigenous artists, you know, in different places across Alberta, that's definitely authentic, original, genuine, honest, nitsitapi, right on, loyal. Awesome. These are great answers. Thank you. Yeah, so I just wanted to share this quote from ITAC. So here you see the amazing Alex Janvier, and he's actually a member of ITA, has a Janvier Gallery in Cold Lake, and it's beautiful. So if you're ever up there, go check it out. But yeah, this quote is: authenticity is at the heart of Indigenous tourism. So, you know, our stories, our ways, you know, that's really the heart, being authentic to ourselves, who we are. You know, that's what keeps our heart beating to keep going. So let's keep going. So I wanted to share some of the guidelines here, because this is a really helpful resource when you're starting your Indigenous tourism business. There's a lot of really good things in this book. So I'll send you a PDF in the chat in a moment. So yeah, these guidelines are tools to guide you towards success in your business, to become visitor ready, eventually market ready, and then finally through the steps you need to follow to work with travel trade to become an export ready business. So, you know, eventually being able to host international travelers if that's your goal. Yeah. So I actually wanted to share a quote, or I think Curtis might have put it in the chat, but I'll just say it out loud for some of us who are more oratory. So this is a quote from ITA as well. Indigenous communities have shared their culture with visitors to their traditional territory since time immemorial, closely guided by community values of respect, honor, and integrity. Those same values are the building blocks for sustainable success for quality Indigenous experiences, both now and for future generations. So, you know, I think that quote really brings to life that meaning of authenticity and being authentic. All right, so just a little summary of the guidelines. So travelers are looking for an authentic Indigenous experience. Most travelers are looking for a unique and personal experience rather than a mass-produced experience. You know, they don't want to feel like cattle, you know, going through like a Disneyland thing, because they could go experience that, you know, within the mainstream tourism industry. When they're looking at an Indigenous experience, they want to have that one-on-one, you know, sitting around the fire, connecting, storytelling. You know, a lot of travelers are looking for that experience. So Indigenous tourism experience offers travelers a new perspective and way of seeing the world, as well as a deeper understanding and connection to the lands that they are visiting. And many travelers want to be actively involved in learning about cultures, traditions, arts, food, storytelling, and history. So be yourself, to be authentic. Authentic Indigenous tourism is by Indigenous peoples, not about Indigenous peoples. So just be you. Awesome. So I'm going to pass it to Curtis now to do the next slides. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. Some of the next steps is how can I have a successful Indigenous tourism business? And go on to the next slide here. Steps to bring your business to life. Number one, review and evaluate your business idea. Is it feasible? Do market research. Test your business ideas by researching market and industry. Number three, develop a business plan. Number four, financing. How will you finance your business? And number five is business structure, sole proprietorship, partnership, or corporation. So when you're starting off, these are all some things to kind of look at and think about. And, you know, like one of the big things is, how do you want to start your business? You know, sole proprietorship or funding is always another big issue. And if you go to our website, www.indigenoustourismalberta.ca, go under the search bar and click on grants, and it'll bring up a list. We have of all the grants and different loans when you're starting off, like that we know of in the tourism business that you can look at also on there. So that's one thing that you can think about when you're starting off. There's a lot of other things that we recommend too, like Indigenous Business Link is a great resource too when you're first starting off. You know, they have a lot of webinars, and it's good to get a lot of these free webinars and different organizations and kind of get ideas, and they'll help you with developing these business ideas, and they'll you know, do some of that market research. So the next slide I want to go on to is steps to bring your business to life. Number six, business name. Consider name options and submit your name for approval. Register the business. Register your business with your chosen structure using your name. Approval. Bank account. Open a bank account. Need your registration or a webinar. And the next one is website and social media channels. That's important to go on Facebook and all these different free media, you know, to promote your business. There's a lot of like TikTok. We have so many things on there. You can go also Facebook Live. I find a lot of our members find that very helpful. And the website is also very important nowadays because, you know, you could sell things on your website, and people could just buy things on there now virtually. So it's one of the great things when you start off your business. A lot of people just do a lot of their majority of their business sales are now on the websites. So plan ahead by reserve a dominion name, social media channels for your business, payroll, trade, taxes. Tax, it depends if you're on reserve, if you're First Nation status, like if your company's on reserve, then the taxes won't apply. But if you're off reserve, then it's a different situation. So if you're Métis or non-status or just off reserve, like myself, I'm First Nation, but I live off the reserve, so I pay taxes right now. It just that's the way the system is right now for taxes. And open up account under your business name as required, like a GST, PST. Like I was saying, if you're on reserve, a lot of these things won't apply, like GST, payroll as another thing to look at, import and export. Go on to the next slide here is steps to bring your business to life. Business license, contact your municipality for a business license, law and regulations, find out if any industry specific licenses or regulations are needed for your business. Insurance, ensure your business and your customers are protected. Hiring employees, get to know requirements as an employee under Employment and Standard Act. Keep business records. If you're operating a business or having a self-employment income, you need records and an accounting system. The next thing I want to talk about here is industry opportunities for your business startup. There's 4 types of experiences: nature-based, adventure. Next one is cultural and heritage, culinary, and educational. Now in the chat, I'm going to add a few examples here. I'm just gonna, if you want to go in the chat, I'm gonna add a bunch here. Here, hold on a second. I'm just gonna put this in the chat. Okay, I'm just making sure I got the whole thing there. Okay, examples of ITA members. I'm gonna put a few examples that fall. Here we go. And some examples of ITA members are nature-based, like Mohegan Trails. They would fit under nature-based and adventure. Mohegan Trails is a member of ITA. Mohegan means wolf in Cree, and that's Brenda Holder, our chair of Indigenous Tourism Alberta. She has that company, and she does plant walks and hikes. And culture and heritage is one example is Blackfoot Crossing historical site and museum. And under culinary, we have Scott Eiserhoff of Pepe Chow. Now, Scott is also does jams. He has his own jam that he does, and he's also Cree from Ontario. And so that's one example. And we also have of artists and arts. We have Boy Chief Trading Post in Sisika. And under educational, we have Reskilled Life, Natalie Pepin, connecting community to Métis culture. And that's what she does. Some fit to all of these 4 types of experiences because we are holistic people. So these 4 examples we have, a lot of our members are all of them, like they're nature-based. They're also do educational, culinary, arts, and culture there. So a lot of our members actually do all 4 of these, or they just kind of like as one part of the experience, say like, let's say Mohegan Trails, they do plant walks and hikes, but they also do a lot of the culture sharing of the heritage of the Cree of the local area or their Iroquois ancestry, talking about that history. And so it goes into all of those aspects. So it's a little example of all 4 of those. And so many of our members fit in all these 4 types of experiences. So you think about these things like
I was even sorry. I was gonna say too, like in the photo is Boy Chief Trading Post, like that medallion, if you're wondering where it's from. So they sell really beautiful, authentically made beadwork, and it's actually connected to their gas station, M&R gas station in Siksika Nation. So when you stop and gas up, you can go buy authentic artwork, which is awesome. And Curtis, I was gonna say the example you said for Blackfoot Crossing, they do all 4 of these too. Like they also have plant walks, they also have teepee camping, and then they have a restaurant, and then they also have their educational like museum, which shares all the history of their nation, and it's all Siksika owned, which is really cool, owned by the Blackfoot Confederacy as well. So super awesome. Back to you.
Okay. The next slide that we have here is in development and grassroots. So I'll just kind of read the first 2, and then like market ready are the next steps for the other webinars. Export ready, we'll just concentrate on the first 2. In development is business planning strategies, learning how to share with authenticity and cultural protocols, community engagement experiences, development, operating business, networking and tourism industry, gain experience through training and service. So this is where we're at, grassroots and development. The next stage that you want to get into is called the visitor ready. And the visitor ready, just to look ahead a little bit, is talking about business exists and is open year round, are seasonally, has all its licenses, permits, and insurance in place in order to operate legally. Basic website or Facebook listing with limited information, no active marketing efforts, unclear about what visitor will see or do, lack of consistent hours or response to hours, has signage or wayfinding for visitors. So it's an example of those things. Now, the next thing we want to go into is the Indigenous Tourism Alberta Matrix, Preparedness Matrix. So on this one, we're just going to talk about grassroots and visitor ready. I'm not going to go into the market or export ready. So some of the things I'll just read off. The number one for grassroots is you need public health requirements are adhered to, including cleanliness protocols. That's one of the things we need to check off in the box. And for the next step, if you want to get the visitor ready after you're in development, is to think about business license and required permits and insurance are obtained and up to date. And also you want to know about visitor employee safety regulations are adhered to, including emergency plans, safety equipment and training. Public health requirements are required, including the same thing as cleanliness. So those are all the different categories. I'll go on to the next slide here.
I'm just going to
Next
add
slide.
one thing.
Yeah.
In terms of the required permits, so the reason we don't go into like exact detail of what permits you need is because it really depends on what your business is. So if you're culinary, there's different permits for that. Or if you are doing, outdoor guiding in the mountains, there's different permits for that. So I just want to do a little shout out to Indigenous Tourism Alberta. We're going to be creating a member portal. And so in the future, we'll be doing resource sharing on specific parts of the industry where you can, get permits, like doing information sharing on what permits you'll need to be an outdoor guide or what permits you need to, open a culinary business. So different things like that. I just wanted to mention. Thank you. Back to you.
Okay. The next thing is products and experiences. So we one of the things is cultural authenticity is maintained in the design and implementation of the product or experience, and this can be verified. In the next slide, we have marketing and communication. So we need brand signage, identifies the business, any required directional or information signage is present. So that's one of the under in development, we don't have anything there, but the next one is visit ready, and we have that one category. And then the slide here, it says culture and sustainability. So we have three things, both for in development and market ready. So I'll go through the first one is strengthening Indigenous culture, preserving traditional knowledge or empowering Indigenous communities is an outcome of business operations. The business incorporates respect for and protection of Mother Earth, and this can be verified. Number three, educating visitors, clients about Indigenous culture is an outcome of business operations. So I'll pass it back to Kayla for starting up business resources.
Awesome. Thank you, Curtis.
Thank you.
All right, so Curtis mentioned this before. We're going to put some links in the chat in a moment. So just different resources. So obviously us on the development team of ITA are always a resource. You can always reach out to us if you have questions. We'll help you to the best of our ability, and just, sharing other resources as well. So, in Alberta for entrepreneurs, there's Business Link, there's Indigenous Services. So they have a lot of really amazing programs for Indigenous entrepreneurs. And also we have CANDO, Council of Advancement for Native Economic Development. So it supports and resource for Indigenous communities' economic development. I just share that one because they have a lot of webinars for entrepreneurs and networking, as well as they do conferences as well for youth entrepreneurs, Indigenous youth. So they're a good resource. And then we also have Community Futures Alberta. So they support small businesses, and Community Futures Treaty 7. I don't know. I believe there's all the treaties covered, but they do a lot of information sharing with entrepreneurs, people who are just starting up their business. So another really good resource. And then we have Alberta Women Entrepreneurs. So supporting women entrepreneurs. They have a lot of amazing workshops, you know, how to create a budget, different things like that. And then we have Apitogo-san, Métis Development. Sorry if I butchered that. So financial and business support for Métis entrepreneurs, and they're located in Edmonton. Awesome. So we'll share some links for those. And even if you have any other business resources in your area, if you want to share them in the chat with everyone here, feel free to do that, because I know, you know, maybe we missed a few organizations that are there for Indigenous entrepreneurs in the province or even Canada. Awesome. And so Curtis kind of mentioned this before, but just resources for funding, grants, and loans. So, you know, funding is such a big part of starting your business, is, you know, being able to have that feasibility, have that funding in place to, you know, be sustainable. So for small businesses, startups, as well as funding for Indigenous communities or project-based or even artisan grants, we post updates on our website and, you know, keep up with that. So sign up for our newsletter on our website for funding updates, because whenever there's a new grant that comes out, we'll put it in our newsletter for members to apply for. And so we're always here to help you apply for grants as well if you need that extra resource. Awesome. So we got through all of our slides. Thank you for listening. And now I would love to introduce Lauren, who's been waiting patiently throughout the presentation. So Lauren Moberly owns a business called Fallen Mountain Soap and is located in Grand Cache, and is an incredible member of ITA. And, you know, was even the winner of our Amy Willier Artisan Grant last year. And yeah, it's just doing really amazing things. So we want to do some member sharing with Lauren. So Lauren, if you want to turn your mic off or on and share your camera, and you can introduce yourself, but welcome.
Hello, everybody. This has been fun. Like, it's been flying by for me. But I'm
Right
really,
on.
yeah, I'm really happy to be here, and thank you for asking me to talk a little bit about my business and my story. Yeah. So I guess I'll just start. My name is Lauren Moberly. I live in Grand Cache Lake, or Kamisak, with my husband and my 3 kids. We are a part of the Assiniboine people. Assiniboine translates to the Rocky Mountain people in Cree. But although from my father's side, I am related to the Lightning family in Samson Hobima, so I do have connections there. Although I've never been to Masquachis, I really want to go there. But yeah, I am the owner and this main soap maker at Fallen Mountain Soap. I say main soap maker because my daughter is getting really good at it, and she might just like be way better at me than soap making. But anyways, like I don't know, I started Fallen Mountain in 2019, so that was pre-COVID. And COVID really did impact my business, but I found a lot of supports through a lot of different organizations, ITA included. But, you know, starting my business, I always had this entrepreneurial spirit, and I always knew that I would some way or another own my own business one day. And like, it wasn't even a question to me because I knew that it was going to happen. And it's not really a surprise though, because I do come from a long line of business owners and entrepreneurs. A few members of my family and a couple of my grandparents, they own businesses in the Grand Cache and Jasper area. before it was established. So for, I don't know, that's, I've always had that spirit in me, and I've always knew that I wanted a business. And for me, sharing my family's unique history is actually like one of the main reasons why I got into soap making, because my ancestors, they made soap and I was fascinated with the process. And so I was fortunate enough to learn from, my family and various other community knowledge keepers and elders who like wanted to share that teaching with me. And that's something that I really want to share with everybody, because for me, it's I want to share my family's rich and unique history, and just being authentic has, like, that's what people want now. And I'm really happy that that's what people want, because that's really all I know how to be, is to be authentic. And I think us as, native people, we are genuinely authentic and we are interesting. And I don't know, that's kind of the main reason why I made Fallen Mountain, though, because I wanted just to share my culture and the teachings that were passed down to me as a way to preserve knowledge, like I said before. Um, but growing up,
Awesome.
yeah, but I just want to say, like, growing up, I was fortunate enough to learn from elders and knowledge keepers, and including my parents, Mike and MC Moverly. They've both passed now, but they both had such intimate knowledge of our family's history, and as well as lots of knowledge about, the community around, like, there's different communities around Grand Cache, Indigenous communities, but they had such knowledge about the traditional practices here and how to live off the land. And growing up, I spent a lot of my time, in the bush, really. Like, I didn't really know too much of like modern stuff, funnily enough. But like, that is so special to me. Like, I know all of these, traditional practices, and yeah, like I said before, they taught me how to live off the land in a sustainable, respectful, and knowledgeable way. And these are the values that I want my business to strive for, and what I want my business to share, because I think sharing my community's teachings can be a way to help preserve our knowledge. And I want to show my kids and other youth in my community, like, it's possible to earn an income and express yourself in and still honor the old ways. That's a little bit about my reason why I made my company.
Oh, thank you, Lauren. That's awesome.
Yeah,
So inspiring. Awesome.
some of the challenges.
Yeah, so challenges and successes of starting your business, when you were in development and, starting your planning, like, what were some of the challenges for you and some of the successes?
Well, when I started Fallen, like, all I had was the idea of what I wanted to create and what products I wanted to share. But I didn't have any experience in actually running a business or knowing how to run a business. Like, for me, I graduated high school in 2010, but I didn't go to college and I didn't pursue any type of academic upgrading, because by the time I was 22, I had my 3 kids, and so I was a stay-at-home mom, and so I couldn't really do too much. And my husband worked most of the time, and he's still working. But I always knew I wanted to do this and to start my own business, and it was a completely new journey for me. And um, like, I learned so much from my community on how to like live off the land and survive on the land, and how to keep our traditions alive. But what I didn't know much about was how to run a business and how to manage my finances, and everything that a business, like running a business, comes with, all the responsibilities. I didn't know the first thing of what to do. But for me, I was fortunate because I started seeking out various support in various workshops. Like, I attended so many workshops, that like free workshops and webinars online, because I just wanted to try and start learning the basics on what a business is, and how to find your target audience. But through Assiniboine Winwalk Nation, it's a nonprofit organization. It's based in Grand Cache, and it represents about 500 of us community members. But anyways, they're a nonprofit and they started doing a tourism workshop. And I wanted to be a part of it because tourism seemed really, really interesting to me. And I just wanted to know what tourism was. So I joined the workshop, and this was in 2020, I think, or no, 2021. And that is actually where I connected with Mackenzie and Shay Bird for the first time. And like through them, like they have given me oodles of support, and the whole team, you guys are amazing. But I was so fortunate to connect with you because I started to learn like what a business plan was and how to write a business plan. And I don't know, just the whole team at ITA has definitely helped improve me, and my business has grown because of what I've learned from all these workshops that ITA has provided. So that was a huge help because I I learned so much through them. And like I was able to also incorporate whatever all that I've learned through ITA, and I also found various other supports that I can share with you all. Like I went to so many workshops, like it's crazy. I went to ones hosted by ITA, Business Link, the Aboriginal Council for Aboriginal Entrepreneurs. But yeah, I think one of my main successes was um, actually winning the Amy Villier grant from ITA. Like that one took me by surprise, and that is what launched Fallen Mountain, to be completely honest, because before then I was, I was still in development. All I really had was an idea and a few products. And but when I was able to learn how to write a business plan and how to manage my time and how important it is to manage your time through, like I learned all this through ITA, to be honest. Like you guys are amazing and you offered so much support. But yeah, like I think the biggest lesson is just to manage your time. Because for me, one of the biggest challenges was managing my time because I have 3 kids and now I have like 4 animals. But yeah, because I didn't manage my time, I also have my kids and everything. I have trouble making a schedule that works for me in my life and my business, and how to have a set product schedule. And so a while, for a couple years, like I just couldn't, I didn't always have products ready. And that resulted in less time for me to make my products and to market myself and to find my target audience. And so just because I didn't manage my time, so my business suffered for a few months. And then, but with the help of, like ITA and everything, like, I don't know, it's like I'm still learning lots, but I think just managing your time, and your time is very precious, and to just be authentic and to be yourself and to constantly learn. That's really what I'm learning with my business. My dog is
So
bothering
thank
me
you,
right now.
Lauren.
My dog is like jumping all over me right now.
All good. Right on. Yeah, I think time management is a really good thing that you brought up. We didn't have it in the slides, but managing our time when you're a business owner, because it's not like you have a manager, telling you, you need to you have to create your own deadlines and kind of a schedule for yourself, and having that self-discipline as an entrepreneur. So sometimes we don't really think about that when we start a business until we're in it, and then we're like, oh yeah, I need to have a set schedule and a routine, or else things fall behind. Yeah, it's a big learning curve for sure.
Yeah,
So
and I
thank
think
you. Yeah.
your time is very precious. Like if anything, your time is very precious. And yeah, just be yourself and to share our culture, because a lot of people, that's what they're interested in now. And I think I'm so happy that everyone is kind of coming back to Mother Earth and
Mm.
trying to learn our ways. It's an amazing time, I think, for all of us.
Mhm. Yeah, it's definitely healing.
Yeah. Thank you for listening to me and my ramblings.
I actually have or one last thing. I guess you already shared a lot, but if there's anything else that comes to mind, so I guess if there's any like words of advice you would give to other Indigenous businesses, you know, that are just starting out, yeah, like what you learned from your experience, you know, being a startup, and if there's anything you want to share for, and then I'll see, do we have any questions?
Honestly, I think it's just about being yourself and being authentic. Just be who you are and produce what you can with what gift you are given. Like I was given the gift of soap making, and that makes me happy. And you know, with just that and with the teachings that I've learned growing up in the bush, like my business is now quite big. It's very successful now, and none of that really would have been possible without those teachings and without the help from more modern supports like ITA, Business Link, Project Gazelle. You know, there's lots of different, and I can leave all the supports that I use for people if that helps.
Yeah, for sure. Right on. Yeah, there's a network of supports out there, you know. Being an entrepreneur is such a, it's self-sustaining. And, you know, I think about our ancestors and our, you know, even our grandparents and how they could sustain themselves, you know, on the land. And so when I think of like being an entrepreneur, really it's about sustaining yourself. And yeah, it might be within this modern context, but it's still grounded in those teachings of, you know, supporting our family, supporting our community, supporting our health and wellness, and staying true to those teachings. So, you know, I hear that even through like your stories and experiences, Lauren. And I love Fallen Mountain Soap. We'll put Lauren's website in the chat if you want to go do that. But yeah, your soap is amazing. And I just think about, you know, that message of sustainability, taking care of Mother Earth. You know, using bar soap is way more sustainable than, you know, buying plastic bottled body wash, and, you know, having a smaller footprint on Mother Earth. And then Lauren makes soaps with, you know, medicines as well. So it's, and then there's a whole written description on the soap too, sharing teachings, and it's just makes you feel good, dude, like a smudge in the shower, really. It's awesome.
But yeah, thank you all for taking the time to listen to me. But I don't know if anyone has any questions. Like, I just want to like leave that open. I'll try and answer what I can.
Yeah, we have one question here from RJ Arcan. Is it a long process to make soap? And is there soap scent for men, LOL?
Of course, there's soap scents for men. There's so many. But to make the soap, it's not a long process. It probably takes me maybe like an hour to make a couple loaves of soap, but the curing process is 4 to 6 weeks. So I'm usually planning like 2 months ahead.
Thank you for that. We also have, what type of marketing do you use? From Karen.
Karen, usually I go on the social media because I just kind of want everything online. And sometimes I do go to farmers markets in the summer months in Jasper and around Grand Cache as well.
Awesome. We also have Lauren's website in the chat. It's www.fallenmountain.com. And also Max said the sweetgrass soap is my favorite.
Awesome. So glad to hear.
Actually, I have one more question. So maybe a few folks in this webinar might be thinking, you know, how is soap in relation to Indigenous tourism? And so again, just knowing that, you know, that authenticity of, you know, not only experiences, but also authentic products. Like when you go to places like Jasper, for example, you're actually able to, see someone like Lauren, selling her soaps, and, being a Senowachi Winawak, there's a whole story and history behind that. So I guess in relation to like the tourism industry, I just wanted to ask like what you've learned in creating your business and getting involved within tourism, like how that has been.
When I got into business, I didn't know what tourism was, but now I'm on like the tourism committee in town. But the progression of that was just attending the workshops and really hosted by ITA, and I I just got a different perspective of what tourism is, because a lot of like what I feared was tourism. I used to think like lots of people coming in on our area, on our traditional territory, and it scared me a lot. But what I learned through these workshops and listening to Mackenzie and the whole ITA team, what I've learned is it's this kind of tourism is a way to preserve us and to preserve our culture and to share our culture the way that and share what we want to share, and in a sustainable way, because now, like I said, people want to know our culture and want to know our ways. And so tourism, like my soap making, for me, I got into soap making because that's what my ancestors used to make soap. That's how they clean themselves. And when the exodus of Jasper, when our families got kicked out of Jasper National Park, well, when it was created to National Park in 1910, when they were traveling to Grand Cache, the stories I heard, like that's all that they had. Like sometimes they all had to just share one little bar that they made or one bar that they had left. And like I don't know, that like listening to that story, and I'm able to share a product that is historically accurate to my family and my culture, and I'm able to share that with people. Like I think that's what my business relation is to tourism, and how it goes with tourism, even though it's a little bit more in the background. But with even just my soaps, I'm able to share the medicines and the teachings. And I also incorporate the Cree words, like the corresponding Cree names, onto each product. It's tourism to me is just preserving our culture and sharing our culture in a meaningful, appropriate way.
Awesome, thank you. We have two other questions here. The first question is, if you had one piece of advice to someone just starting off, what would it be? And the second question is, how did you come up with the name of for your company?
One piece of advice would be, I think, just seeking out supports. That's really what helped me. Like I learned as much as I could from my community, but I also had to seek out a lot of support in the beginning because I had no knowledge of how to run a business. So definitely seek out supports. ITA is a great one. Yeah, just learn, because it will all come to you in time. I know, like if you're just starting out, like that's probably something like I hated hearing that when I was starting out. Like it's gonna come in time, but no, it comes in time. Like it will come to you. Is you just have to seek out like the supports and the knowledge. How did you come up with the name for my company? My brother helped me create the name. Honestly, like my brother back in 2019, when I was just starting this idea, he was in remand. He's out now, but during that time we had a lot of phone calls back and forth, and I was telling him like my ideas and what I wanted to do with this company. And so one day he called me and he had this long list of names, lots of different names. But one thing I didn't want was mountain, because where I come from, it's a lot of mountains and all the businesses around have the word mountain in it. But my brother, he had this list, and a lot of them are nature based. So two of them really stood out to me. One was like Fallen Leaf and Shadow Mountain. And so I just kind of played around with that and was like, what about Fallen Mountain? And so I don't know, I just kind of stuck since then, and I have mountain, and I'm really happy that, I kept the word mountain. I know it's home, I guess. And I also want it to be a little bit alternative, because I am kind of an alternative person, so a little bit darker, hence the fallen part.
Right on. Yeah, I love your new logo, and yeah, it's awesome.
Yes. Thank you.
Right on. Awesome. Well, I don't think we have any more questions, but I just want to say thank you so much, Lauren. Thank you so much, Fred. You're still on here too. I really appreciate both of your stories today, and just lots of love to you guys. And thank you to everyone who attended the webinar today. So it's recorded. We will put this on our YouTube channel for a resource for businesses that are in development for Indigenous tourism. And we just want to say, you can contact us for more information or support. So the development team is here. We have Curtis with membership. So his email is membership@indigenous-tourism-alberta.ca. And then I'm the development coordinator. So you can find my email, development@indigenous-tourism-alberta.ca. And then Mackenzie, who is also here, is an amazing resource. So you can email Mackenzie at indigenous-tourism-alberta.ca. But I just want to say thank you to everyone who's here. And yeah, I hope you have a really good day and enjoy the sunshine and this nice weather that we're getting. Take advantage of it, go outside. And yeah, if you need anything, just reach out to us and we're here for you. So I'm excited to see what y'all end up doing with your businesses. Right on. Nanaska Moten.
Hey, hey.
Hey, hey. Right on.